This segment of Labatt Buffalo Main Event is brought to you by
MyHockeyLife.com, your online community if you live and breathe hockey.
We're back on Labatt Buffalo Main Event. Brad Ryder along with Bob Gaughan. Thanks to Alan Wilson of the Buffalo News for joining us this week. If you missed any portion of the show or if you just want to read cool stuff, check out our website. It's buffalomainevent.com. Every week we close the show with a commentary, and up first every week is Bob Gaughan.
Brad, much of my youth was spent at Memorial Auditorium watching the Buffalo Braves. Heroes of mine, Randy Smith, Ernie D., and Bob McAdoo. I cried when Paul Snyder traded Bob McAdoo for John Gianelli and cash. Can you imagine if the Sabres did that this year with Brian Campbell, traded for more cash for Golisano? Shows you what I think of Paul Snyder forever. But the exact same thing that happened to the Braves 30 years ago is happening now to the Seattle Supersonics, and the whole sports world should take note of it. You know, change the name from Paul Snyder to Howard Bryant. He's the head of Starbucks, who sold out the community of Seattle, just as Paul Snyder sold out the Buffalo community. And change the name of John Y. Brown to Clay Bennett. Clay Bennett is in the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. When he bought Seattle, the Supersonics, where do you think he was going to move the team to? Of course, Oklahoma, and that's what is happening. And he just needed an excuse, and he found the excuse with Key Arena, one that was remodeled just 12 years ago, but he said he needed a new $500 million facility, and of course the community couldn't do it. So now 41 years of basketball down the drain. From Spencer Haywood to Slick Watts, the 1979 championship team, Dennis Johnson, Lonnie Shelton. What person of my age group didn't try and shoot like Jack Sikma once? When you hit a far shot, you know who you were? You were downtown Freddie Brown. More current people might think of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp or Kevin Durant. Doesn't matter. 41 years down the drain. David Stern, David Stern doesn't care, just as Larry O'Brien didn't care 30 years ago. It doesn't matter. And I fear that the same thing might happen to the Buffalo Bills. If Ralph Wilson passes away and they have to sell the team and they sell it to an owner that has no ties to the community, you think the same thing couldn't happen to Buffalo? Look at Seattle. They're the 14th market, and they're being moved to the 45th market. 14 to 45. Seattle has 5 Fortune 500 companies. If it can happen to Seattle, it can happen to anybody. And that's why the sports world should take note of this. And this is why it's a punch in the gut to every fan. Because, again, if it can happen there, it can happen to your community too.
Every couple of years, there's a new next big thing, and I have finally experienced one that I've been hearing about for about 6 months or so, and that is UFC, Ultimate Fighting pay-per-views taking place out in establishments around the area. And I can't help but think that this is what it was like during the heyday of boxing. I've always been a big boxing guy, and I even have gotten away from it over the course of the past couple of years because any fight that matters, and there are so few these days, is on pay-per-view. You have to make the commitment, and because it's not popular enough, you can't go out and find a place that's going to show the thing. Well, Ultimate Fighting does have that going for it, and I recommend just once before completely dismissing it. And by the way, don't dismiss it because CBS isn't dismissing it. MMA just got a contract to be on free television as well. But before you totally dismiss it, just go out one time for one of these pay-per-view events and check out the UFC. I didn't know the names. I didn't know the people. All I know is it is right now what boxing used to look like in the heyday. I watch it the same way that I watch World Cup soccer. If there are enough people there that care about it, I can get into it too, and I recommend that you check it out as well. That'll do it for Labatt Buffalo Main Event. Brad Ryder along with Bob Gaughan. Again, check out the website. It's buffalomainevent.com.